Hey, what's up guys? The Pangolin here, back with another video, and today we're talking about the top 10 worst fandoms in anime. Really, we're checking out a CBR article, which is the 12 best anime series ruined by their popularity. But close enough, they're kind of implying the same thing. And I know it says 12, but I'm probably going to skip some, the ones I haven't watched, so really probably going to even out to about 10, so we're just going to check this out. I know CBR is notorious for having bad articles. We're not going to harp on that too much. Maybe the article will be bad, maybe it'll be decent. I'm just trying to see, do they have any points here? And if they don't, I'll be honest and I'll be like, they're tweaking. But I'm going to go in there fresh, not trying to have any bias. I'm going to see, are they making any good points? And this article was uploaded on April 10th, 2023, or updated. So I don't think we're going to see something like JJK here. Before the second season, JJK's fan base wasn't too rabid. At least the manga fan base was, but it still hadn't exploded like that yet. But now, even now, I wouldn't say it's ruined it, but it definitely added some notoriety to it that isn't always favorable. But the memes are good. So okay, the first one, you had to expect this was going to be here. This is the first one that ever comes to mind for me when I think of fan bases that have ruined an anime. It's My Hero Academia. Let's see what CBR says about it. My Hero Academia is often described as a great series with legacy tarnished by a notoriously rabid fanbase. From non-stop shipping wars to overprotective fans of certain characters or story arcs, My Hero Academia's fanbase has a reputation that precedes itself. Fortunately, My Hero Academia's fanbase has made it hard for many anime fans to take the series seriously or respect its great stories. My Hero Academia definitely isn't reinventing the wheel for shonen anime, but it's a solid series that deserves the praise it receives. I'm not going to go into this one too much, but I should have a video on My Hero Academia coming out next week for the ending of the manga, just giving my thoughts overall on the series. So I'm going to talk about a lot of this in that video, but I have to actually agree with CBR on this one. My Hero Academia is a solid series, no matter what people say today. Yes, it had its downs, it had its ups, it has its downs, and its downs are more recent, so a lot of people fell off the show. Early My Hero Academia, if you were there following it, there was a lot of fun in early My Hero Academia and a lot of good stuff going on in the first 3 seasons, I'd say, until like mid season 3. So I wouldn't go too crazy on My Hero Academia hating on it, but I understand what the fan base has done for its reputation. CBR is correct about people not checking out the series, but I have friends who won't watch My Hero Academia purely because of the fan base. So it just is what it is. It's true. Let's check out the next one. Next up, we got Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man was one of fall 2022's most anticipated releases. The manga is already famous with a solid fan base. Since the anime was in Mappa's trusted hands, fans had high hopes for the anime adaptation of the series. Unfortunately, several fans lashed out at Mappa after the series debuted. One fan even made an online petition and wrote a long-winded letter to the director demanding a remake. Chainsaw Man's momentum isn't slowing down anytime soon, but it's safe to say that the fanbase's negative reputation has spoiled the series for many newcomers. I don't know if I agree that it's ruined by its popularity. Obviously, the title is a bit sensationalist, like my title probably is too. I'm not going to hate on CBR for that. But when Chainsaw Man was airing, it was definitely part of the fan base, the manga fan base, that was comparing everything and saying the anime isn't getting the adaptation it deserves. I can't say how true that is, but I think the show itself was pretty damn good. If the manga's better, that's great. Not every show is going to be as good as the manga, but I still think Chainsaw Man had enough hype where I think it's going to survive that. I think when season 2, they got the movie coming. But from what I've heard, I think when season 2 drops, Chainsaw Man is going to be bigger than ever. And it's going to probably rival JJK, if not surpass it. Maybe not surpass it because JJK went to some crazy level, but it's going to be up there, comparable. So I don't think it's ruined by its popularity. I think it's too early to say. My Hero Academia, I can understand because we're like 6-7 seasons in. We could see the impact the fan base has had on it. But Chainsaw Man, I think it's too early to say, honestly. Next, we got The Promised Neverland. Promised Neverland was one of 2019's biggest anime, and it's a shame that it's already in the fandom's rearview mirror. The Promised Neverland looks at a frightening escape from an orphanage to a brave new world where humans are viewed as food for demons. The Promised Neverland should have been able to grow and develop across multiple seasons. Instead, it was wrapped up in 2 short seasons, paying short shrift to this universe and its story. It's understandable that the manga's creators didn't want the anime to get ahead of their storytelling, but a brief hiatus would have allowed a brilliant anime to return without creatively stifling anyone. This one makes no sense. I'm very confused why this is even on the list. Literally in the description that it gave, it said nothing about the fan base. Or the fandom. But I don't understand why CBR put this on the list. The Promised Neverland was ruined solely by its production. I don't know what happened in their adaptation timeline, but maybe this is what they're saying with it. Apparently, the manga creators didn't want the anime to get ahead of the storytelling. But even then, like the seasons, I don't think didn't come out back to back. So I don't know why they skipped half the manga and just rushed to the ending and skipped the best arc. Apparently, the manga readers say that is one of the biggest tragedies in recent anime. Season 1 had unbelievable hype, but to say that's on the fan base, if anything, the fan base was the one thing keeping the show alive. People saying, "Oh no, it's gonna get really good. It's gonna get really good. Or it's gonna stay good," even though people were worried it would fall off after the first season. The fan base was backing it, and then obviously what happened in season 2 happened, and it's not on the fan base to drop the show after that. That's on the production. That's on the anime. The fan base did what they could do, and that's it. It's unfortunate, but I wouldn't put that on the fan base. The show fumbled. Okay, I skipped a few that I haven't watched, but number 6 we got Dragon Ball. So Akira Toriyama's signature shonen franchise is still going strong after more than 3 decades. The playful adventures of the young Goku progressively matured into an action-centric extravaganza that appeals to many adults. However, Dragon Ball has given itself some significant hurdles, as every time a character unlocks a new transformation or power, it gets harder to keep the series and its characters from permanently plateauing. Dragon Ball's story would likely benefit from brevity, but its undying popularity continues to bring it back for more theatrical battles. Growing conflict within the fandom over canon and power levels also hasn't done Dragon Ball any favors. At this point, the anime is much better known than the manga, but it's also a much sillier and less interesting story than its source. It's hard to say it's ruined by the fan base or its popularity, because the popularity of Dragon Ball has made it immortal almost. Like, I think a lot of people can recognize the issues of Dragon Ball. Yeah, even some of its biggest fans recognize that by modern standards, at least, there's a lot that can be improved about Dragon Ball. But at the same time, we don't care. Like, if we're being real, Dragon Ball fans don't care. These issues were quickly left in the back of the mind when you realize how incredibly hype it is when Goku first turns Super Saiyan. When Gohan calls on Goku and they hit that father-son against Cell. Like, things like that. Yes, obviously it has pacing issues and power leveling issues, and I was to say what's canon, what's not. But really, it's those moments in Dragon Ball that really sell the series, that make you forget about all that other hoopla. And obviously its influence, what it's inspired. I don't know if you could say Dragon Ball has been ruined by its fan base. And I don't know, but I guess they're saying the fan base is so popular they keep having to bring it back. If anything, I mean, you can bring something back and still keep it good. That's not necessarily on the fan base. And if you're keeping the series alive, then it is what it is. But I don't know. I can see where it's coming from, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with this one. Okay, so next up we got Death Note. Death Note is a legendary series that's easy to get invested in due to its simple power fantasy premise, offering readers the promise of executing anyone who deserves it without repercussions. The first season of Death Note is suspenseful, psychological storytelling at its best, but the series' success leads to a second season that wasn't nearly as strong. Death Note's intense popularity led to a live-action American movie and an upcoming live-action series that's also on its way to Netflix. Those new adaptations don't erase the original, but sloppy takes on the series will only further tarnish its reputation. I don't know. I don't know about that one. It's weird. Also, it's weird hearing someone talk about Death Note in 2 seasons. I guess it's because I watched it way after it came out. Like, I probably watched it in 2014, 2015. So I'm just seeing it as one block of episodes, but I guess maybe it released in 2 seasons when it originally came out. Yes, we all know Death Note doesn't have the strongest second half. I don't even know if it's half. It might just be like the last third. I don't remember the exact amount of episodes, but I feel like it's like only like the last third of it or so at most, or maybe in the last quarter of it that isn't super strong. You know, obviously post L. That's basically what we're talking about. But to say the fan base ruined Death Note, I don't even think Death Note's ruined. I think Death Note still has a legendary status among anime fans. It's one of the shows that is still recommended to all anime fans who are getting into the genre. One of the first ones people say you should watch. I think that's a great spot to be in for any anime. So it's weird to I don't even think Death Note is ruined. I don't think a lot of the shows on this list is ruined, but obviously My Hero Academia, you can understand it. Death Note, I don't even see where this is coming from. The point they're making, to be fair to them, is saying it's super popular, so we got adaptations that aren't good, and that's ruining the series. But like it said here, it doesn't erase the original, so the reputation really isn't that tarnished. If anything, those bad adaptations, it's just driving people back to the original to be like, oh, this is actually really good. Watch this, not that. Anytime more bad Death Note stuff comes out, people are gonna be like, yeah, don't worry about that. That's not that good. Watch the actual Death Note, and you'll be like, okay, yeah, this is fire. So, like, if anything, it might actually be good for Death Note that these bad adaptations are coming out. Just drive more attraction to the original series. Why not? The original is amazing. Ooh, number 4, Sword Art Online. I said that really weird. Sword Art Online. Isekai is one of the biggest trends in anime over the past decade, and placing characters in virtual worlds or MMORPGs has become a popular trope. Sword Art Online was a popular example of the subgenre, but there's nothing particularly unique about Kirito and Asuna's journey. It's easy to get initially drawn into Sword Art Online, which is well made, but the plot gets more ludicrous and the show is increasingly willing to indulge in easy fan service. A passionate audience continues to champion Sword Art Online, and they're quick to attack newcomers who don't fall in love with the series. Interesting. Actually, for me, Sword Art Online was one of the first shows I watched. Not in my life necessarily, but when I was like getting into anime heavy. Obviously, I grew up on some classics, but that was before I really knew what anime was. I was just watching them as a kid. But when I was really getting into anime, Sword Art Online was actually one of the first shows I watched. I watched it like in 2014, I think. And maybe it was early. Yeah, I think it was 2014. And I really enjoyed, no matter what people say about Sword Art Online today, obviously it has a crazy reputation now, but I really enjoyed the first half of the first season. Just the Aincrad arc. We're not going to talk about Alfheim. We're going to have to talk about it, but the Aincrad arc, to this day, I would say, I haven't rewatched it, so maybe it's terrible. Maybe it's not as good as everyone is saying, but at least in real time watching it, and especially because I didn't have a lot of stuff to compare it to, I really enjoyed the Aincrad arc. It's just simple power fantasy, fun story. Just was what it was. It was obviously super edgy, but for the time, you can't really be upset with that. And obviously, what it goes into with Alfheim, like it's saying here, trash, absolute trash. Alfheim is one of the worst arcs I've seen. And considering going from Aincrad, which I really enjoyed, to Alfheim, I was like, bro, what is this? This is a crazy fall off. And then it went into Gun Gale with season 2, and I couldn't even make it there. Like, I finished Alfheim. I think I watched like 2 episodes of Gun Gale. I'm not even saying it was bad or anything, but like, just Alfheim just tarnished the series in my head. So I didn't go any further. I heard it gets way better later with like Alicization and stuff. I might never know. But the fan base itself, I don't know. Maybe because it's 2024 and this might have been more relevant back when it came out, or even and Sword Art was a big topic of discussion even into 2014, 2015, maybe 2016 online. But it's hard to think of the fan base like that because it's been a while. I feel like that kind of thing was passed on to other shows. I don't know if it ruined the had ruined the series. I think it was honestly ruined by the meteoric fall off from Eintracht to Alfheim. Eintracht to Alfheim? Yeah, I don't know. Fumbling names on this, but whatever. That's what they're saying about Sword Art Online. I don't know if I agree with that. I think the writing ruined it, but fair enough. They want to talk about the popularity. Akame Got Kill. Okay, Akame Got Kill is an inspirational story about underdog revolutionaries who long to right the wrongs that a corrupt capital has placed upon society. Honestly, I couldn't have told you that's what it was about. Holy crap, I completely forgot. I watched the show really early on in my anime journey too. Wow, all I remember is the pacing of the show, but let's keep going. Tatsumi is a normal boy who finds himself suddenly leading the charge in the vigilante assassination squad, the Night Raid. Akame Got Kill is 24 episodes long, keeping the story about control and corruption brief. That being said, fans are quick to attack Tatsumi for being a thin main character and for the show's irresponsible treatment of death. Akame Got Kill would be fine as a fringe cult classic, but it can't stand up to the scrutiny its success has brought up. Did the fan base ruin Akame Got Kill? I don't know. I hear its points, but it doesn't really... not really making a strong point about the popularity ruining it. Or maybe I guess it's okay. I see what it's saying. It's saying if the show remained niche and obscure, people would enjoy it for what it is, rather than because it got brought to a larger audience. People have more spotlight on it to nitpick the series. Maybe. I mean, that's a fair argument. I guess you could say that about anything. Anything that gets big has its naysayers. But really, Akame Got Kill got ruined by its writing, if anything. I don't even want to say ruined, because for a show with writing and pacing that struggles like this one, or as predictable as this one, as one note as this one, it got relatively popular. So really, it's hard to say it was ruined by its popularity. If anything, it succeeded despite its popularity in those nitpicks. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I guess I can see what they're saying. I don't know if I necessarily agree that's the reason they got ruined, but it definitely can probably deter people who haven't seen it already from watching it now. So that's fair enough. But I think at the time, at least, it was popping off, and those issues were still prevalent at the time. I watched the whole thing. I was like, it's in your head, you're like, oh, this is a fun ride. It's just going back and forth. Oh, this is happening, someone's dying. This is happening, someone dying. But even in real time, back then when I hadn't seen that many shows, it got draining. It got boring, honestly, because you're like, okay, this person's getting this spotlight. Okay, they're gonna die. Oh, this person? Okay, they're gonna die. And once a show is committed to a formula like that, it has a cap on how long it can remain entertaining, unless they completely switch it up with the big twist. And I don't remember them doing that. So that's more on the show itself. But I can understand the angle they took here. Fair enough. For number 2, we got One Punch Man. One Punch Man is a fantastic parody of the superhero and shonen genres, where its central character, Saitama, is frustrated by the fact that he's far too strong for any villain to survive even his gentlest blows. The show's first season is a gorgeous visual masterpiece, but the switch from Madhouse to JC Staff for its sophomore season angered many fans and created a toxic energy before it was even released. Many fans have turned their backs on One Punch Man following the second season, or shipped over to Mob Psycho 100. However, the recent news that Mappa will be animating the show's third season means that One Punch Man might be able to return to its former heights. I don't know. This was written back in 2023, like I said at the beginning. So maybe there was rumors. I vaguely remember there being rumors that Mappa was going to do it for season 3. I'm pretty sure now it's come out that JC Staff is doing it. I'm pretty sure that's confirmed. That JC Staff is doing season 3. So oof to the people who were hyped about Mappa, but I can actually see where they're coming from with this one. I don't know if it got ruined by the fan base, because the drop in animation was steep. It just is what it was, or was what it is, or was what it was. I don't know what I'm saying, but it was that's just a fact. It's the reality. The drop in animation was very steep, and you can't really put that on the fans for not being happy about that when the animation is one of the driving forces for the show being as good as it was. Because obviously, One Punch Man isn't the craziest story ever, and no one's expecting that from it. So when they had that crazy animation, you're like, okay, we get this gag comedy with the animation, which gives you those. It really delivers these hype moments. Okay, great package. We love that. Then when you get a gag comedy with some okay animation, so it's not really delivering on the hype moments, you're like, okay, it's funny, but now we're starting to feel a little one note because we don't have the real hype animation moments to break it up. And that's not to say season 2 is bad. I watched season 2. I enjoyed it. It's obviously not as good, but it was enough to make me start reading the manga. And I read ahead and I was like, oh, where they going with Gato? Very interesting. And I think season 3, I'm not fully caught up. I read like to a certain point. I'm not going to spoil, but it makes me think that season 3 can be really good. Like, really good. Obviously, you're not going to have the animation level that you had season 1. We're just going to have to accept that. But the story starts to pick up in a really interesting way when you start focusing on Gato. They started doing that in season 2 as well, but you really hone in on him because he's just more interesting than Saitama, and that's okay. Saitama is someone to play off of, but their dynamic becomes really interesting. So I'm intrigued by where it's going to go in season 3 and how it's going to be received. Obviously, it's not going to have the following it had in season 1. It probably never will again unless we get Madhouse back on it or another crazy studio, but don't sleep on it. And if anything, because Yusuke Murata is going crazy in the manga, the fan base is in a great place. Like, I don't think you could have asked for any better artist to draw that manga. So I don't think the show's got ruined because of the fan base. It just is what it is. People have their expectations, and you can't be upset at them when they're not met by that great a margin. That just is what it is. But interesting point. I see where they're coming from. For number 1, you probably guessed it, Attack on Titan. Hajime Isayama's Attack on Titan is one of the generation's biggest and most critically celebrated manga and anime series. Its haunting tale of humans versus monsters grows infinitely more complicated, and its handling of lore, character development, and perspective is truly impressive. Isayama ended Attack on Titan before it overstayed its welcome. The AOT's overly vocal fandom has damaged the property. These fans can gatekeep newcomers, and the manga's polarizing ending split the fanbase in ways that didn't help the series. Anyone who wants to get into Attack on Titan will have to deal with the most toxic elements of its fandom, and it's just not worth it for many viewers. I disagree. If anything, the fan base of the show made it bigger than it ever had any right to be. And that's not saying it didn't have a right to be big. The story is immaculate. One of the greatest stories in fiction, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm being hyperbolic, but I don't think I am. Some of the twists and turns in Attack on Titan, the writing, the foreshadowing, like it is what it is, and what it is one of the GOATs. But I see what they're saying in terms of the fan base can be polarizing. Do they gatekeep? I don't know. I honestly don't know if that's true. In the pandemic, when AOT was blowing up crazy, 4th season, I feel like more people than ever wanted others to get into AOT. I think AOT has become one of those shows, maybe the show, over even Death Note, that's like the show you recommend to new anime fans, or even just get someone into anime. Like, this is what the medium can be. And I think that's the opposite of gatekeeping anyway. Obviously, it's gotten super popular now. People may be upset by that, but overall, I think that's a super vocal minority. I think the ending, if you want to talk about the ending, yes, the ending was kind of a wild time for manga fans of the show, of the story. But if anything, as someone who remained anime only till the end, seeing the manga readers split so decisively on the ending, whether it was great or terrible, made me super invested in seeing it out for myself and coming to my own conclusion. Well, I think if anything, obviously it's not great because you don't want such a large, such a large section of your fan base saying your ending was terrible. That's not great, obviously. But what it did in terms of promotion, hey, all publicity is good publicity, and that definitely got anime readers. Some even jumped to the manga, anime viewers. Some even jumped to the manga, and some were like, "Oh, nah, I got to see how this plays out." So, I think the points they made here actually point. I just got to disagree. I think it points to its popularity only helping it. And I don't know if anyone. I can't think of anyone that would be like, "Oh, I want to watch Attack on Titan," but it's fandom. That's really stopping me from watching it. It's not My Hero Academia in the slightest. I don't think that's true. So I disagree with CBR on this one heavily. And the fact that it's #1 is kind of wild, but obviously one of the biggest shows of all time. And especially when this came out, early 2023, it was, I think, still airing. It definitely was still airing. But I think part 1 of the finale was airing, so fair enough. Get your clicks, but I disagree with this one wholeheartedly. But thank you for watching. If you made it this far, especially, I really appreciate it. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Which shows were ruined by its popularity? Which shows got too big, and all of a sudden the shows are starting to fall off? Let me know. Because fan bases, they can be kind of volatile. And some fan bases have harmed the reputation of some shows. But let me know if there's anything on this list that you think deserved to be here. Anything that's here you think didn't deserve to be here. Just let's talk about it. And if you disagree or agree with what CBR or I said. So that's it, really. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. And I should have a new video out same time next week. Like I teased earlier, it should be a video about the ending of My Hero Academia. That's a big one. That's a big one. So I'll see you then.